Today we're here at the Kingsville Naval Air Station. I'm here with my son Ethan, my husband, who's doing the camera right now, and we are having fun. We will have a beautiful show to look at. These formations of the airplanes, everything in the sky is going to be amazing. So please don't go away.
It's time to hit the road and discover Texas with Annie Studebaker. Get ready to travel deep into the heart of the Lone Star State, meeting friendly folks and exploring fascinating places. Experience a way of life like nowhere else in the world as we uncover the rich history and culture of Texas. Discover adventure, discover excitement, discover Texas with Annie Studebaker.
Since the dawn of time, man has looked to the skies with dreams of soaring among the clouds. The Wright brothers' first plane left the ground in 1903, and the world hasn't looked back since. In the past century, aircraft have become bigger, faster, sleeker, and louder. Every year, Wings Over South Texas celebrates the history of flight, showcases advancements in technology, and pays tribute to the men and women who risk everything to defend us in the wild blue yonder. This year, the air show makes special recognition of women veterans and all they've contributed and achieved. It all culminates in a spectacular display of aerial skills that will thrill and astound you. We started the day on the ground, taking an up-close look at these marvelous machines. Helicopters, biplanes, and fighter jets. They had it all. This piece of World War II history really caught our attention.
My name is Beth Jenkins. I'm the pilot in command of this airplane. It's the Devil Dog. It's a PBJ-1J, which is the Marine version of the B-25. And we're out of Georgetown, Texas. We're part of the Commemorative Air Force. Commemorative Air Force is the largest flying museum in the United States. And we're just one airplane of 150 airplanes that they have. Wow. And we have 6 B-25s. Of course, we're the PBJ. We have 2 PBJs and 4 B-25. That particular mission, they only needed 5 because they really didn't need the tail gunners and the side gunners in the back because the Japanese didn't fly at night. They needed a navigator because they navigated by the stars. And they were coming back to islands smaller than this airport property. And at night. So whether the number 3 ship just got lost or got shot down, nobody knows what happened to her. The gentleman that restored this particular airplane wanted to honor his friends that were part of the number 3 ship, and they didn't get to have nose art, so they put nose art on it, because at night in the Pacific, the moon could maybe reflect their location. So he put the mascot of the Marines on there so we could keep this Marine history alive. This was built in 1944. Kansas City. The airplane got as far as Hawaii and the war had ended. And it was a trainer at Reese Air Force Base. And then a gentleman bought 5 B-25s and had them on a grass strip in Rockdale, Texas. And he was flying nitroglycerin down to South America for the mining companies. And the Confederate Air Force bought it and then sold it to 2 gentlemen, which donated it back, and 2 years later, and then it was restored. Well, it's a great airplane to fly. It's very responsive. I have a couple members that also fly P-51s, and it's almost as responsive as a P-51. We lift off, we take off at about 90 miles an hour, then get the speed up to 140 for the single engine safe speed, and then start cleaning it up. We don't work it hard. We cruise it at 200 miles an hour. It's a very loud airplane because the propeller's right next to your head. But we have noise attenuating headsets that we wear. Each engine holds 39 gallons of oil. All my flying is on my own, and I have 23,000 hours in teaching people how to fly.
Wow, 23,000 hours? That's over 2.5 years of teaching in the sky. Just across the way, we met someone who was just starting his flying career.
I'm Ensign Matt Putbreeze. I'm from Chicago, Illinois. This is the T-44 Charlie. It's our multi-engine trainer for the U.S. Navy. Been in the Navy, I'm coming up on 2 years in May. This multi-engine training syllabus takes about 5 months to get through, so I'm coming up on the end of that. It's a great plane, so it's a twin engine, obviously.
Matt was kind enough to let us take a look inside his plane.
Seems like there's a lot going on. Obviously, here's our different gauges, tells us how hot the engine is, how much torque we have on the engine, what the prop's spinning at. If we're taking off and landing, we run it at 2200 RPM, and if we're just normal cruise, we pull the engines back, and we usually cruise at 1900 RPM. Yeah, cruising at 1900 allows you to get more torque on the plane, so 1520 if you're at 1900 and 1315 if you're at 2200.
What's a normal cruising speed for this thing?
So if we're just staying in the local area, we do 150, but if we're not, we have a NATOPS, a different book of what the most efficient speeds are. It's usually about 200 knots, depending on your altitude, so it's going to vary pretty heavily on altitude.
And what kind of horsepower does this thing have?
550.
550, both engines together?
Each engine.
Each engine is 550. It's a pretty hot plane.
A little bit. And we have 2 PFDs here and here. They're going to give us all the information in terms of airspeed, altitude, if your aircraft's at an angle of bank or anything like that. If that went out for some reason, we got a little backup here. So it's a backup display that works off the aux bat in case all your electrical systems fail. It's going to give you 30 minutes. And then how you control it, you have the rudders down there. So that's going to rudder pedals down there. That's going to control the rudder in the back. And then you have the control wheel. So turn it left to go left, right to go right, pull back to go up, push forward to go down. Pretty simple. And then here's the different ways you control the power. So these are the power levers. You push those up, you're going to go faster, just put more power on the aircraft. Here are the prop levers. You push them forward if you want the props to spin faster. So when we have them forward, that's going to be takeoff or landing. It's going to be able to get more power more quickly, so you need that at takeoff and landing, and it's going to allow the airplane to go in reverse. So if you need to brake quickly, you just pull these over the idle detent, throw it in reverse, and that's going to stop the aircraft more quickly. And then these
with propellers.
Right. So the propellers are going to change the angle of they're going to change their bite angle on the air, and it's literally going to push the aircraft backwards. So that's kind of how that works. And here are the condition levers, and that just allows fuel to come into the engine. So when start up, push them up, and when you shut down, you pull those condition levers all the way back, and it's going to shut the engines down. It inputs to up here, this is how we control the autopilot on our aircraft. So the autopilot works with lateral and vertical navigation, but you still need to push the power levers up and down to speed up. So there's no auto throttles on that, unfortunately. But yep, so you just put things in down here and then control it by selecting different things up on the autopilot scoreboard up there, and that's how you can fly the aircraft. We also have MFDs up here. This is going to show you everything in the area, so where your aircraft is, where nearby airports are, and different things. You can select the airports, find out how long they are, how wide they are, what the different runways they have. That's pretty much it.
I asked him what he planned to do as a Navy pilot.
For the maritime community, it's mostly surveillance, also anti-submarine warfare is another big part of it, so tracking subs will be basically the main thing we're doing next. Next, I'll be going to Jacksonville to train on the P3 or the P8. I don't know which aircraft I have yet.
The P3 has been a Navy mainstay for over 50 years. Its use as a surveillance aircraft has spread to civilian agencies, including U.S. Customs and Border Patrol.
Good morning, my name is Allison Garduno. I'm an aviation enforcement agent with Customs and Border Protection, and I'm a P3 flight engineer, and this is my ride. She is an airborne early warning radar, but our main mission is to do surveillance, intelligence, and reconnaissance. I always had an interest in flying. My mom was a manager of the Norfolk Navy Flying Club, so I grew up around military aviation. My father was a surface warfare officer, so I joined the Navy, and aviation was the way I wanted to go. And I heard the P3 was the best kept secret in the Navy, and it turned out to be true. We're basically the systems matters experts on board. So we sit in the flight station in between the pilot and the co-pilot. We're responsible for the pre-flight, post-flight, all the systems checks before takeoff. We'll do all of the takeoff paperwork, flight planning. We set power for takeoff. We'll do in-flight fuel planning. If there's an emergency in flight, we're responsible for all of the appropriate emergency procedures. And we're kind of like a crew chief in a way. Flies like a dream, the mission's a dream. Go to the best places. Home plate for us is Corpus Christi, but mostly we do things out of country, down south, in countries like Panama, Costa Rica. The aircraft is an all-weather aircraft. We have flown through some hailstorms. Let's see. I've flown through a typhoon in Japan that I don't recommend to anyone. Oh yes, bouncing all around, hydraulics are going crazy, all your gauges are going crazy. The basic weight for this aircraft right here is somewhere around 68,000 pounds. And then with a full fuel load, we normally take about 55,000 pounds. So we can stay airborne from anywhere for 10 to 11 hours. Normal cruise is about 250 knots. Single engine max would be 4,600 shaft horsepower. The radar that we have is actually the E2C radar. So it's a 300 nautical mile every direction airborne early detection radar that we use for air contacts as well as sea contacts. It does affect certain profiles of flight. You get to a point where you're trying to loiter and fly slowly, if you're watching a target, and you get to the point where it can act like a parachute and kind of give you parasitic drag, to where if you get too slow, you're not able to recompensate unless you add more gas, and now you end up burning more gas to stay slower because of the drag produced by it. Depending on if you're doing loiter or if you're trying to get somewhere quickly, a normal loiter burn for us would be about 1,100 pounds per hour per engine.
My name is John O'Leary. I'm with Customs and Border Protection. I've been with them for a little over 17 years. I'm a sensor operator. I operate the radar and the infrared cameras, anything we use on a drug interdiction scenario. We advertise 250 miles. It can be a little bit more, a little bit less. It kind of depends on atmospherics and sea state. It depends what we're looking for. And when we're on station, we don't fly as fast because you get a little bit better picture for the radar when you're not flying as fast. Yeah, we carry 8 guys in the airplane. 3 pilots, 2 flight engineers, and 3 sensor operators, and then we switch out. We have 2 sensor operators in the back working all the time. And you do basically 2 hours on, 1 off, so you get a little bit of a break.
Speaking of breaks, it's time to take one of our own. But when we get back, get ready for the time of your life as the air show begins and the pilots take to the sky.
Hold on to your hat. We'll be right back.
The band is playing and the crowd is ready. It's time for the air show to kick into high gear. The United States Army Silver Wings parachute team drops in to say hello. Next up is the 2-man aerial acrobatic team of Red Line Air Shows. They're really cutting it close there. What an amazing performance by Red Line Air Shows. Here is Rob Holland. How does he do that? Some people say he's out of his mind, but the amount of skill and dedication that goes into a show like this says otherwise. It almost looks like he's lost control. Let's watch him come in for a landing. If anyone's interested, I hear he gives flying lessons. The FAA has granted both a day and night unlimited aerobatic ratings in jet fighters to one pilot, and his name is Randy Ball. In this MiG 17F, he can pull up to 8 Gs. It seems less like a jet and more like a rocket with wings. Watch Matt Yonkin as he performs aerobatics in his Beech 18. Keep in mind that the Beech 18 was not designed for aerobatics. That doesn't seem to stop Matt. For the Yonkin family, flying is in their blood. Matt's performance looks almost exactly like his father Bobby's did so many years ago.
Looks like it's just gonna fall out of the sky when he does this. Oh my goodness, all the way over. And you can see all those lights. When that takes off and flies this
Meet the F-35, the most advanced fighter the world has to offer. Look how it climbs. The F-35 is so fast, it's hard to keep track of it. That is aviation technology at its finest. And it's so loud. Fiala is an aviation legend. Can you believe he's been flying for over 65 years? Look at him go! Tora 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 recreates a Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor. The coordination needed between the people in the air and on the ground is incredible. With the sound of the planes and the smell of the smoke, you can almost imagine what it was like to be there on that Sunday morning in 1941. The Blue Angels are world famous for their piloting skills. Look at how close they keep together. Everything is timed perfectly. That's real teamwork. The Blue Angels demonstration showcases all the hard work and dedication found in the Navy and Marine Corps. It's easy to see why the United States military is considered the best in the world. Every year, Wings Over South Texas travels between Kingsville and Corpus Christi, providing excitement and entertainment for the entire family. My family really enjoyed it. I think yours will too. Join me next time as we discover Texas together.